Whose date has been last?
Good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, May 28, 2019 City of Gardner Planning Commission meeting to order. You would all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start with roll call on my right.
Bowden here.
Brady here.
Roberts here.
Austin here.
McNair here. Gardenhire here.
Quorum is present. Consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Planning Commission for study. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted upon by one motion with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item from either the Planning Commission or from the floor, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. Consent agenda item number 1, standing approval of the minutes as written from the meeting on April 23rd, 2019. Are there any items that anyone on the commission would like removed from the consent agenda? Anyone from the public? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner McNair with a second by Commissioner Bowden to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Regular agenda item number 1, Warren Place Event Center located at 122, 130, and 136 East Warren Street. We have 3 parts: preliminary plat, a final plat, and a final development plan. Staff presentation, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Michelle Leininger, Principal Planner. I'll present item 1A and 1B, excuse me, together, and then I will stop so that you can discuss the plats specifically and take action, and then we'll finish the presentation with the final development plan. Just for reference, the subject properties are outlined in blue before you. They border Center Street on the west, Warren Street on the south, Elm Street on the east, and then an alley to the north. Come on. Here's some pictures. This is the western end of the properties. This is the existing chapel that is there. This is looking northeast across Center Street. This is the guest house that is in the center of the properties. This is looking north across Warren Street. This is the event hall that is on the east end. This is looking northeast, so this is the west end of the facility. This actually faces not the road, but the center of the lot. And then here's the opposite end, so you get a good view of that. You also notice the large area of grass to the east. Staff findings on the preliminary plat. This preliminary plat combines 10 lots into one commercial lot. It's currently utilized as one lot, so it was recommended that they combine it into one to utilize it as such. The plat is consistent with the Main Street corridor plan. Technical reports have been submitted and accepted. The plat meets the requirements of the Land Development Code, and no utility extensions are proposed. For the preliminary plat, staff does recommend approval. Here's the suggested motion, and I will come back to this for you. Here's the visual of the final plat. It shows all 10 of the originally platted lots, and then it's combined into one lot. Staff findings on the final plat. The final plat is consistent with the preliminary plat. You have a copy of the preliminary plat. I didn't include that in the presentation. Any public improvement plan shall be submitted and approved prior to the release of the final plat for recording. There will be a couple minor public improvement that will need to be looked at. The west side of the property where in front of the chapel where there's currently parking, that will be removed and grass will be replaced there. And then the driveway entrance off of Warren for the guest house will be removed. The driveway entrance off of Warren for the event hall parking lot, that will be replaced. And then both ends of the alley, those entrances, exits will be replaced for to install them to commercial standards. So those will be included in the public improvement plans. No excise taxes levied on this plat as it was platted, once upon a time in the 1800s. Staff does recommend approval of the final plat with the conditions that the preliminary plat be approved prior. I noticed some numerical errors in the motion for number 1 in your staff report. So when reading your motion, if you could read off of here, that would give you the correct application numbers. And then the construction plans be approved prior to the release of the recording of the plat. And then staff does recommend the governing body accept the dedication of right-of-way and easements. The applicant is not here, but I'm sure I could help address any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. It's Planning Commission discussion time. Any questions on preliminary plat 1904 or final plat 1902? Starting on my right.
No. Just a couple quick things, Michelle, on if this was to be resold down the road, would this be sold in as one lot versus 10?
Correct. It would be one platted lot. That's kind of part of the reason we suggested that they replatted into one, because their development plan includes all 3 buildings. That way they wouldn't lose part of that and lose part of their parking. Right. It's planned to include that entire half block, so it needs to stay that way as far as property accumulation.
And then on your first slide, you had a red X there on the east end. Have any decisions how that grassy lot is going to be used? Is that just going to stay the way it is, or are they going to put parking there, or?
We will go over that in the final development.
In the final, okay. That's all I have.
I have no questions.
No questions?
No questions.
I also did not have any questions, so with that, I would entertain a motion on preliminary plat PP-19-04.
I move after review of application PP-19-04, a preliminary plat for parcel IDs CP 9000000000046, CP 9000000000056, CP 90000000052, CP 9000000000040. And preliminary plat dated May 20th, 2019, and staff report dated May 28th, 2019. The Planning Commission approves the application as proposed after finding all applicable requirements have been met.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Bowden with a second by Commissioner McNear. As written, any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. I would entertain a motion on final plat 1902.
I'd like to make a motion that after review of application Foxtrot Papa 1902, a final plat parcel IDs Charlie Papa 9000000000046, Charlie Papa 9000000000056, and Charlie Papa 9000000000052, Charlie Papa 90000000040, and final plat dated May 20th, 2019, and staff report dated May 28th, 2019. The planning approves the application as proposed, provided the following conditions are met. Preliminary plat PP 1904 shall be approved prior to the release of the final plat FP 1902 for recording. The construction, number two, the construction plans for any utilities, infrastructure, or public facilities shall meet all technical specifications, and public improvement plans shall be submitted and approved prior to the release of the plat for recording, and recommends the governing body accept dedication of right-of-way and easements.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Gardner with a second by Commissioner McNear. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Final Development Plan 19-01.
Carrying on with item 1C. Staff findings for the final development plan. Really this, you've seen the preliminary development plan for this about a year ago. What's different from that plan is that we have more specific details. We have the elevations and the changes that are proposed for the event hall, and then we have landscaping included. Staff has found with the final development plan that the site has been functioning adequately for years with the assembly and lodging uses and has been deemed appropriate for this site. The project is consistent with good planning principles by reutilizing existing buildings and adding extensive landscape to accent existing landscape. And the structures are an existing part of the neighborhood, making the project compatible with the context. Here's basically the main changes to the development. Building C, as it's labeled in the picture in front of you, is the existing event hall. What is outlined in blue is an addition, which is a building addition and a patio addition and covered patio addition. And then the outline in green, the green box, is a garden and landscape area for events to kind of carry out into the green space. So to answer your question, there's green space and building expansion proposed there. We did have 3 deviations that the applicant has requested. The first one is a deviation from the buffer planting requirement on the west end of the property. The standard, as you can see outlined here, the only portion of that standard that they are requesting a deviation from is the requirement for evergreens. They would be required to provide 4 evergreens, and they're proposing 0 evergreens. Here's the visual, the Center Street end of the project. This is where the chapel is, labeled Building A. As you can see, there is that parking that was there replaced with turf and street trees, and then extensive landscaping provided along with redoing of the front steps and the entry, providing ADA access, some more appropriate stairs for the building. If you've been by there, the steps are definitely failing. The standard for buffer plantings is required in all situations where a less intense district abuts a more intense district, and the burden is applied on the more intense district. So the subject property is zone CP1. The property across the street, across Center Street, is zoned for residential. There's no exception for locations where the district is separated by streets or street right-of-way. The requirement is also cumulative with other landscaping requirements such as frontage landscaping requirements, street trees, parking perimeter landscaping, and foundation landscaping. Those don't all apply here, but just to give you reference that it could. And this is similar to what we experience with Belfonte, with a lot of landscaping accumulating directly adjacent to streets. Staff has found that this requirement results in a potential excessive amount of landscaping that may inhibit the ability of plants to thrive or even survive. Additionally, the landscaping could entirely block businesses from being seen from the street. The applicant has provided all other required landscaping as included additional grasses and perennials to the west of the site. The historic chapel fronts Center Street. In this location, and the visibility of the iconic structure is important to the community and the development. Staff does recommend approval of this deviation. The second deviation is it's for the buffer planning requirements. This time it's along the south lot line, which is along Warren Street. Again, this is for the evergreen portion of it, and they would be required to provide 16 evergreens, and they're proposing 0 evergreens. This is a little difficult to see. I pieced together the landscape information that you have in your packets. You can see the applicant has provided the required street trees. There's grass there, and then beyond the sidewalk there again is extensive amount of landscaping, which includes the grasses, the perennials, and some additional trees. There's a generous amount of landscaping proposed. Stated with the previous deviation, this is one of many of the requirements for landscaping on the site. Both Center Street and Warren Street have very large right-of-ways and have larger than what we typically see for the green space between the sidewalk and the street. So with that amount of spacing, that amount of landscaping that's already there, the amount set back, staff recommends approval of this deviation with the caveat that there is extensive landscaping already included. Deviation number 3. This is related to proposed signs. As part of a final development plan, signs can be deviated from. The standard for signs for the C1 district, CP1, is 1 sign per lot for monument signs. And those signs are required to be set back 10 foot from the property lines. That was not corrected. They're proposed actually 4 signs. This was kind of a last minute change. And just to give you the reference, the left picture shows the intersection of Center Street on the left, and then along the bottom would be Warren Street. Outlined in red is where the proposed sign is to be located, even though they would technically be connected. If the ends are further than 3 feet apart, they're considered 2 signs. So that would be 2 signs, the other corner would be 2 signs. The applicant is requesting 0 feet from the property line off of Center Street, and then 5 feet from Warren Street. And then on the opposite corner, the picture on your right, the north-south street there is Elm, and then again Warren Street is on the bottom. Similar location, except it would be 0 feet from both property lines. Restating that this right-of-way is relatively large, and so is the green space between the street and the sidewalk is pretty significant also. Staff does recommend the deviations for both of these signs. However, if you'll notice, the sign that fronts Center Street appears to be over the property line. Well, we can't recommend approval of that. We can recommend that they just slide it over slightly so that it is 0 setback. Staff does recommend approval of the final development plan for Warren Place with a couple conditions. The part of the approved deviations for the parking for the preliminary development plan included an agreement to share the Bruce Funeral Home parking lot when it is available. So condition 1 was to include or to provide a copy of that agreement. I did talk to Shirley Bruce Van Arsdale today. She said that what was provided last time with the preliminary development plan is still completely valid. So at the time of writing this, that condition was still out there. You can either leave that in there with your motion, or you can remove it. If you leave it in there, it's just automatically already met. And then additionally, we request that they add a note to the plans regarding placement of one-way signs in the alley. That was also a recommendation of Public Works with the preliminary development plan, that the alley be signed, that the vehicular traveling from west to east. And I am done, and the applicant is still not here, so I can entertain any questions.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission discussion, questions, start on my right.
Actually, don't have any questions. Again, as I stated before, I love this project, and to me, all the deviations meet the essence of the code and what the code, in my opinion, was meant to be. And you drive there, the signs are going to be plenty far off the roadway, even though they're on the property line. And obviously, there's a lot of landscaping. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
I don't really have any question. I love that we're reusing existing buildings, especially the chapel, the church that has history to Gardner, and I like that kind of project.
Mr. McNair?
I'm really excited to see this project come as well. As a member of Divine Mercy Parish, we were very, very hopeful that a project like this would come and make use of the facility that had been our home for decades. This is reutilizing buildings. It's adding tremendous value to our community. And I just had one question. Is there going to be any, with the signs that were proposed, is there going to be any kind of issues with safety as far as visibility around the corners of those intersections?
I meant to add that. No, it does not impede into either of the site triangles.
Thank you.
Before we jump to follow-on question to that, what if the roads are expanded? Is that not the reason for the setback off of the property line?
Yeah, I think that would be part of the reason. It's unlikely that, especially Warren Street would be expanded wider. If anything, a center turn lane would be added, and I still don't think it would fall into the site triangle. I'm not sure about Center Street. The bridge over the railroad tracks would inhibit that from being expanded very, very much. Mm-hmm. And that would be a pretty difficult bridge to replace at this point in time. So there's no plans to expand either one of those streets.
So, two things. Tori stole my thunder. I really like it. I really do like when buildings are reused or repurposed. I like older buildings, and this is one of those great buildings that's being repurposed. The second thing is more of a, I guess, a philosophical question for the ether. Is there such a thing as too much landscaping? Like, because I mean, I'm looking at this picture and it looks like a bunch of Pac-Mans everywhere, like on this thing. And I was just curious. I mean, I'm sure it's going to look wonderful, but is there such a thing as too much landscaping?
There definitely is. I mean, I talked in there about, with the deviations, about having too much landscaping that can have those plants failure to thrive and crowd each other out. A lot of those are perennials and grasses, so they're more creating a visual line. There's something that will fluctuate throughout the year. They're not per se, woody shrubs and things like that. So I think visually it looks pretty cluttered, but when it actually gets planted, I think it'll be okay.
Right. Okay. That's it.
I also support the development. I think it's a great idea and great for the community. Was there any discussion about moving the signs back to where they're supposed to be off of the property line? Because from the plans, I don't see why they couldn't.
I did ask them, they had to explain why, and it provides it in the explanation by the applicant in the deviation request. They felt that they would be too far back at that point because of that large right-of-way. And this is due to visibility concerns and existing condition limitations. They're requesting the change. There's not any existing trees. And actually, let me go back to the aerial. So, not sure that there's any site constraints. I think it's more of the distance, because those right-of-ways are relatively wide, and with the landscaping that they're proposing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that landscaping that they're using is screening from their events, both from the neighborhood and for the guests. So
Yeah, I guess my concern is just that, the setbacks in place for a reason. I know there are issues in different spots in town here and in other towns that I'm familiar with where that side triangle gets impeded upon, whether by existing construction and then they widen the road and now you can't see around the corner, but it's existing, so you can't tear it down. Just looking at their site plan, to me, I didn't understand why they couldn't comply with the requirements. I'm fine with giving them 4 signs instead of 1. Like I said, I support the development. I just wanna make sure that if for some reason the roads are widened in the future, we don't shoot ourselves in the foot.
I do know off of Elm Street, there is that angled parking. So setting that back further kind of puts it behind the cars that could be parked there. That was my only concern with their original proposed location.
Maybe I could add, add something is, you can add a stipulation that if additional right-of-way is acquired by the city at some point in the future, that they would agree to relocate the signs without, what you would be concerned about particularly would be that they would get a deviation such that if we did have to go in and acquire additional right-of-way, that would be through either an eminent domain proceeding or a prospective eminent domain proceeding, and we would have to compensate them to move the sign. But if we recognize in this proceeding that we're giving them a deviation from a setback which would protect us from that, and attach a stipulation to the approval that if additional right-of-way is acquired, that they would agree to move the sign back to the setback in the code, then I think that would take care of your concern, would it not?
Yeah, if they did any street widening, would they have to obtain more right away? Right. So they could,
Yeah, they wouldn't likely have to obtain additional right-of-way as there is significant amounts of right-of-way. It would just be widening of the road. So you would see that green space between the street and the sidewalk reduced. And if they did, I would anticipate widening to 3 lanes, at least on Warren Street. I would not see Elm Street widening. Center Street, I believe, is 2 lanes there. So potentially a turn lane or a 3rd lane.
okay. Any additional questions, discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion on final development plan 19-01.
It's not on our screen.
Not on our screen.
Did you want to add the condition or not?
Yeah. I was gonna try and do the motion and add it as number 3.
So you're looking to add that condition for the right of way?
Right.
Roll with
So,
it.
I wouldn't say right-of-way expansion because it's more likely to be street expansion.
so then could it be worded as if street expansion occurs and the sign impedes the site triangle, they will move the sign at their own cost?
I like that.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So, I'd like to make a motion that after review of application FDP 1901, a final development plan for Warren Place, parcel IDs Charlie Papa 9000000000046, Charlie Papa 90000000056, Charlie Papa 9000000000052, and Charlie Papa 9000000000040, and final development plan dated May 21st, 2019, and staff report dated May 28th, 2019. The Planning Commission approves the application as proposed, provided the following conditions are met. Number 1, add a note to the plans regarding the placement of one-way signs in the alley. And number 2, that if the road is expanded and the site triangle is impeded upon with the sign, that they will move the sign at their own cost.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Gardner with a second by Commissioner Bowden. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Let's see, no discussion items, so hearing nothing new from anybody else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion to adjourn by Commissioner McNear, second by Commissioner Bowden. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. We're adjourned.
Thank you.